There is a woman listening to me right now and she's exhausted. Not the kind of tired you sleep off, but the deep bone-weary exhaustion that comes from being strong for so long that you cannot remember what it feels like to be weak. You have carried burdens that were never meant to be yours. You have shown up as the strong one, the reliable one, the one who has it all together. And somewhere along the way, being strong became your identity. It became your prison. I want to speak to you about the cost of strength. Not to diminish what you have shown, but to honor the woman underneath who is tired, who is lonely, who is wondering if anyone will ever be strong enough to hold her up. There is a particular kind of loneliness that comes with being strong. It is the loneliness of a woman who has learned that asking for help is weakness. It is the loneliness of a woman who has convinced herself she does not need anyone, because needing people means disappointment. It is the loneliness of a woman who has built walls so high that even when someone tries to reach her, she cannot let them in, because she has forgotten how being strong is a survival mechanism. At some point you learn that the only person you could trust was yourself. Maybe your parents were unreliable. Maybe people who were supposed to protect you failed. Maybe you experienced loss so profound that you decided never to be vulnerable again. So you built armor. You learned to carry your own weight. You taught yourself that needing others was a liability. And that strength saved you. It got you through things you did not think you could survive. But strength was never meant to be your entire identity. It was meant to be a tool, not a prison. And now you are standing here strong on the outside but hollow on the inside. You have accomplished things that would make others stand in awe. You have overcome obstacles that would have broken lesser women. You have stood alone for so long that you have forgotten what it feels like to not stand alone. And the loneliness is becoming unbearable. Let me speak to the woman who is the strong one in every situation. You are the one holding the space. You are the one making sure everyone else is okay. You are the one checking on others while no one checks on you. You are the emotional caretaker, the problem solver, the one people call in crisis. And you do know what to do. You always do. But inside, you are screaming because no one has ever asked if you know what to do about yourself. There is a loneliness that comes with being needed by everyone but loved by no one. There is pain when you realize people value your strength more than your vulnerability. They want you to be strong for them. They depend on you to be the rock, but they have never asked what happens when the rock wants to crumble. They have never asked what it costs to always be the strong one. And you have never told them, because telling them would make you weak. But what if your weakness is not your liability? What if your vulnerability is not your failure? What if the parts of you that you have deemed unacceptable are actually the parts that make you most beautiful? There is a woman who is tired of praying alone. She is tired of standing in her faith alone. While everyone around her has someone to stand with, she goes to church, she worships, she gives her testimony about how strong she is in God. But strength in God is not meant to be a substitute for human connection. You are not meant to be so spiritually elevated that you become emotionally unavailable. You are not meant to be so grounded in faith that you forget you are also a woman who needs to be held. God did not create you to be strong alone forever. He created you to be whole. And wholeness includes vulnerability. Wholeness includes the capacity to need others. The fact that you are tired does not mean you are weak. It means you are human. Acknowledging this does not mean you are giving up your strength. It means you are admitting that being strong all the time is unsustainable. Let me speak to the exhaustion you are feeling. It is the exhaustion of always being on. It is the exhaustion of always having the answer. It is the exhaustion of always being the one who holds it together. It is the exhaustion of smiling when you want to cry. It is the exhaustion of appearing fine when you are falling apart. It is the exhaustion of giving while receiving very little in return. And somewhere in all of this, you have started to believe this is what your life is supposed to be. That this is the cost of being a strong woman of God. That this loneliness is the price of your independence. But that is a lie. That is a false gospel that has been sold to you by a world that wants to extract everything from you while giving nothing in return. The truth is, you are not supposed to be strong all the time. You are not supposed to have all the answers. You are not supposed to carry everyone else's burdens while your own grows heavier. You are not supposed to do this alone. There is a profound difference between being strong and being isolated. A strong woman knows her capacity and respects it. She can say no without guilt. She can ask for help without shame. She can be vulnerable with people she trusts. She understands that needing others is not weakness, it is wisdom. But you have been taught a different strength. That strength means never falling down, always having it together, being so independent you need no one. That strength means carrying more than your share and pretending it is no burden. That is not strength. That is self-destruction dressed up as empowerment. I want to speak to the loneliness of being the strong one in a relationship. Whether romantic, friendship, or family, there is pain in always being the strong one. You manage the logistics, you remember the dates, you plan the future, you hold the vision, and the other person is comfortable being led because it requires nothing of them. But this is slowly killing you. You are responsible for their growth while sacrificing your own. You are the architect while they ride along. The imbalance is eating away at you. There is also the loneliness of accomplishment. You have achieved things most only dream about. You have broken barriers, built a life that looks impressive, yet none of it feels satisfying because all your accomplishments are hollow if there is no one to celebrate them with. You have climbed mountains alone, and standing at the top, you realize the view means nothing if you are standing there by yourself. Let me speak to the woman who has learned that asking for help is dangerous. Maybe someone was supposed to be there and they were not. Maybe you asked for support and were abandoned. Maybe you were vulnerable and were hurt. So you learned that the only person you can count on is yourself. That needing others is a setup for disappointment, and so you stop asking, you stop needing, you stopped hoping. But this decision has made you strong and isolated. You are walking through life with armor so thick that no one can get in. You call it protection, you call it wisdom. But what you have actually done is sentence yourself to loneliness, masquerading as independence. Here is what I want you to know. Just because someone failed you does not mean everyone will fail you. Just because one person disappointed you does not mean all people will. Just because you were hurt when vulnerable does not mean vulnerability is dangerous. It means vulnerability with the wrong person is dangerous. But vulnerability with the right person is freedom. You are lonely because you have not given anyone the chance to love you. You are exhausted because you have tried to do everything alone. You are tired because you have carried more than you were ever meant to carry. And you are still holding on to the belief that this is what being strong looks like. But being strong does not have to mean being alone. There is a difference between standing alone and standing in strength. When you stand alone, you are isolated. When you stand in strength, you are grounded. When you stand alone, you are vulnerable to the whisper that maybe you are not enough. When you stand in strength, you know your value does not depend on anyone else. When you stand alone, loneliness becomes your constant companion. When you stand in strength, you can be alone without being lonely. But many of you are standing alone because you do not believe you deserve to stand with someone. Many are isolated because you do not think anyone would want to stand with you. Many have given so much you have forgotten what it feels like to receive. And the thought of someone taking care of you, someone being strong for you, feels so foreign that it terrifies you. Let me speak to that fear. The fear is real. The fear that if you let someone in, they will see who you are and leave. The fear that if you stop being strong, you will fall apart and never recover. The fear that vulnerability will be used against you. The fear that needing someone means losing yourself. That fear is valid based on your experiences. But fear is also a liar. God did not design you to carry the world on your shoulders. He did not design you to be strong in isolation. He designed you to be in relationship. He designed you to need Him. He designed you to need other people. Needing is not weakness. It is being human. And if you cannot need, you cannot truly receive. And if you cannot receive, you cannot experience love. I want to speak to the woman who is tired of being everyone's rock. You have been the stable one for so long that people have forgotten you are human. They treat you like you are unbreakable when really you are breaking. They ask you to hold them up when you are barely holding yourself together. And you do it because that is what strong women do. But what if you told people you are tired? What if you said no to one more request? What if you asked for help instead of offering it? What if you let someone else be strong for you? Maybe some people would abandon you. That would be painful, but it would also be clarifying, because people who only valued you for your strength were never really valuing you. They were using you, and you deserve better. You deserve to be loved. You deserve to have people show up for you the way you have shown up for them. You deserve to rest. You deserve to be held. You deserve to cry without fixing it immediately. You deserve to fall apart and have someone help you put the pieces back together. There is a loneliness that comes with being strong, because strength keeps people at a distance. When you are strong, people come to you for answers. They do not come to you for intimacy. They do not come to you vulnerable because your strength makes them feel they have to be strong too. So you end up surrounded by people but deeply alone. Many connections but very few true relationships. True relationship requires vulnerability on both sides. It requires the willingness to need and be needed. It requires allowing someone to see you when you are not at your best. If you have decided vulnerability is too dangerous, then you have also decided true relationship is off the table, and you are paying the price in loneliness. I want to speak to the woman of God who is tired. You pray, you read your Bible, you believe, you trust God, and yet you still feel alone. You still feel like you are carrying this by yourself. No one in your church, family, or circle really knows what you are going through. And that is because you have not told them. You are afraid that admitting struggle means your faith is not strong enough. But faith and struggle are not opposites. Faith does not mean you never struggle. It means you struggle and you still believe. It means you are weary and you still show up. It means you are lonely and you still trust God. But faith also means you ask for help, Faith means you accept support from the community God has put around you. Faith means you allow yourself to be loved by other people as an expression of God's love. If you are only accepting God's love and rejecting human love, you are rejecting part of God's design. Let me tell you what you need to hear. It is okay to be tired. It is okay to admit you cannot do this alone. It is okay to cry. It is okay to fall apart. It is okay to need help. It is okay to ask someone to be strong while you are weak. It is okay to let people love you. It is okay to stop carrying the world. The exhaustion you are feeling is a signal. It is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign that something needs to change. It is a sign that you are trying to do something unsustainable. It is a sign that isolation is killing you, and the loneliness you are feeling is not God's design. It is the result of the choices you have made to keep people out. There is a particular beauty in vulnerability. When you allow someone to see your mess, you give them permission to show theirs. When you admit you do not have all the answers, you create space for real conversation. When you ask for help, you give someone the gift of being needed by you. When you cry in front of someone, you give them the opportunity to comfort you. These moments are not weaknesses. They are where real connection happens. I want to speak directly to your heart right now. You are not supposed to be this strong all the time. You are not supposed to be this independent all the time. You are allowed to be messy. You are allowed to be confused. You are allowed to need people. You are allowed to ask for help. You are allowed to cry. You are allowed to fall apart. You are allowed to be human. When you finally give yourself permission to be human, you will give others permission to see you as human. When people see you as human instead of as a strong machine, they will have the opportunity to actually love you. Not the strong version of you, but the real you, the messy you, the tired you, the vulnerable you. That is when real relationship begins. The woman you become when you stop being strong all the time is not weaker. She is freer. She knows her limits. She asks for what she needs. She can receive love. She has people in her corner, not because she earned their respect, but because she opened her heart. That woman is stronger than you are now, because she is strong enough to be vulnerable. So I am asking you today to consider letting someone in. Tell someone you are tired. Be honest about your loneliness. Ask for help. Cry in front of someone. Let your guard down. Stop carrying everything alone. Trust that you are worth being loved, not for your strength, but for who you are. This will be scary. It will require you to let go of the identity you have built. It will require you to face fears, but the alternative is a lifetime of loneliness masquerading as independence. The alternative is exhaustion becoming permanent. The alternative is dying with untapped capacity for love because you were too afraid to be vulnerable. You are tired. Your body is tired, your heart is tired, your spirit is tired, and you do not have to keep going like this. You do not have to keep pretending everything is fine. You do not have to keep carrying this alone. There is another way. It starts with admitting you cannot do this by yourself. It starts with letting someone help you carry the burden. It starts with deciding that being loved is worth the risk of being hurt. You are not meant to do this alone. God did not design you to be alone. God designed you to be in community. God designed you to be loved. God designed you to have people who show up for you. And the longer you refuse to let anyone in, the longer you will suffer in isolation, calling it strength. When you're tired of being strong, it is time to rest. When you're lonely, it is time to connect. When you're exhausted, it is time to ask for help. When you're falling apart, it is time to let someone hold you together. And when you finally do these things, you will discover that the real strength was always the courage to be vulnerable.